So we are joined again by the fine folks at Larian. They are up at 2 in the morning their time to be here. So we're going to jump right in where we left off last night. For those of you who maybe are coming to this stream for the first time, we are Atlus. We're publishing Divinity II Dragon Knight Saga here in North America for Xbox 360. And we've spent the first stream last night setting things up, making our character, exploring Broken Valley a little bit, and for the most part talking about a lot of the enhancements, additions, and improvements that Dragon Knight Saga brings over the original Ego Draconis on Xbox 360 for anyone who's played it. But tonight we're going to pick up with the save that we left off, and right around the time in which we were getting our first quests in Broken Valley Village. So now we're going to do some good old-fashioned RPG-style exploration and quest solving. We'll maybe dive into a dungeon or two, a boss to kill. Maybe, if the timing works out, we end up getting to the what would be the equivalent of tomorrow night's stream, which would be becoming a Dragon Knight. And if that's the case, we're going to figure out some slightly later content for tomorrow night so that it stays fresh and interesting for you guys. But without further ado, here we are right now. We've just loaded our save, and one of the things we talked about last night that we'll reiterate is that monsters don't respawn in 99% of Divinity II. In Flames of Vengeance and the expansion, there are some respawning monsters, but anyone thinking that this is going to be a grind fest, this is definitely not the case. It's a game that's incredibly well tuned and balanced so that you can't spend hours upon hours trying to become super powered, and the monsters don't auto level. There are areas you can wander into that will be super high level for you, and you'll have to kind of learn to take your time and pace yourself. I shop at Goodwill. I really hate grind fests, you say. So yeah, a lot of people tend to not like that, especially when you're playing a game with some significance narrative. So Divinity II is certainly that game. It is 100 plus hours with a lot of story. It's not just 100 plus hours of gameplay. So we read his mind, and for anyone who's coming in for the first time here, we just used the mind readability, which is one of the really unique things in Divinity II: The Dragon Knight Saga. You can read the minds of any NPC. It has a varying cost and experience points, and very often it will give you very useful information for quests, for secret areas. If it's a merchant, you can get discounts when you're buying from them. So I think we're going to try to wander our way towards a dungeon, right? See if we can get up there. Now, there's also a fast transit system in the world of Divinity II: The Dragon Knight Saga that we're just about to come up upon, and we'll talk about that just a little bit. You can see, of course, the enemy's health is shown up top along with what their level is. So we are level 2 right now, I think. 2, 3, and these guys are probably easy for us to take on, but if we get just a couple goblin healers or a shaman thrown in here, we're going to be in trouble. So hopefully Scott is up to the task. I think we have this on the easy difficulty, the casual difficulty setting, which is the easiest of the 4. So if Scott dies here, it is mandatory for everyone in the channel to laugh. Goblin Chief, level 4. Uh-oh. Has the difficulty of the later flying bits been toned down at all? I got my butt handed to me in those parts in Ego Draconis. Well, I actually think that would be best left for Benoit. Our team doesn't have quite the frame of reference. With the easiest difficulty setting, it's a sure thing that most people will be able to enjoy the game without a ton of frustration. It is a challenging RPG, particularly at the higher difficulty settings. So there we had a lock we couldn't. Did we look at the fast transit? So we'll go back here real quick. And you can see there the loot, so loot is kind of obvious. So Whitepoint Shrines are used as shortcuts in Rivellon. We can only travel to the ones that we've activated, so here we can activate this one, and I guess basically that this is the one that we've activated. The other one is back in the, is that right? The chapel is back in the village, right? Or is this the chapel? This is the chapel up top, right. Village Shrine is the one that's in Broken Valley Village. Alright, it looks like we have Farhang joining us too, from Larian. Thank you to you guys for being up at 2 in the morning. Kotep, it felt like that to me. They didn't make it not challenging, just less of a roller coaster of difficulty. And Tongue Smiley. God, this, you know, Ustream has some of the strangest smileys. Now, what would an RPG be without some caves and mines and dungeons to explore? What do you think, Scott? Are dungeons your favorite part of the RPG?
They're definitely all over the place, and all of them offer varying levels of difficulty and loot. They're all worth going into.
One of the things I love about looting in this game is that when something is empty and you hover your cursor over it, it'll tell you straight up, empty. You don't have to waste your time opening thing, maybe akin to something like Fallout 3. Nothing is more frustrating than when you have to. You're about to get effed up here, Scott. Do you not have a potion?
I'm going to make a hasty retreat here.
All right, Scott is going to retreat, and we're going to level up a bit. What kind of question is that? Of course they are. You know, some people like the overworld exploration. Some people, it's not about the dungeons for them. So, Scott, tell me about how you felt just now emotionally having to retreat from the dungeon.
It was pretty painful.
Pauses for pansies, says Elder Masana. So we're going to go ahead and get some potions and maybe level up one more time. I guess we can go down a little bit and take care of the goblins that are down there. I'm going to leave it to Scott. In fact, Scott, why don't you explain to me exactly how you are going to get yourself ready for the cave?
There are several quests still within the village that will offer a lot of experience. After I leveled up a little bit, maybe got a new piece of armor, maybe another new sword, then I'd be more ready to take on, you saw that they were level 4, and I'm not quite level 4 yet. We'll go ahead and use the waypoint here to get back to the village quickly.
Note how fast it is jumping from one overworld area to another. The environments are so gorgeous, the caves, the outdoor environments, etc. And you know, I shop at Goodwill. I have to agree, one of the things that Divinity II has going for it is world design and artistic design. I may be biased to say it, but I think the guys at Larian did an amazing job creating something that feels fresh, even though it's medieval fantasy. So many games that fall into the same genre. It's nice to play one that has a very distinct style. And the more you play it, I would liken it to a lot of people who played it said it reminded them in some ways of Fable 2, kind of a colorful or a welcoming medieval world, but it's definitely darker, a little more mature, and in a lot of ways a little more satisfying when it comes to having to make significant decisions that affect the NPCs in the world around you. So hopefully we get a chance to talk to some of my favorite NPCs here.
We're about to finish up a quest that we started yesterday.
Are these load times off disk, or is it installed to a hard drive? Ben JB asks. We have installed this to the hard drive, actually. I don't believe, off our casual internal tests, actually, Farhang, we installed this one to the hard drive, but it won't make a significant difference. We tested it, and some games seem to benefit from a hard drive install, and some games don't. It's not really a significant difference one way or the other. The biggest changes are when you go from an exterior to an interior, but the exteriors are so huge, you're going to find you spend a lot of time outdoors. I'll leave Cynical Reaper's question, how often are dungeons and towns repeated, for Farhang or Benoit. I assume you mean that from a design standpoint. They're all handmade. To my knowledge, there's nothing cookie cuttery like you'd find in other AAA RPGs that are really popular.
You know? Oh no, I'm sorry.
I was trying to prod Oblivion a little bit. A game I love, but you kind of got tired of the same stuff over and over again.
I'll never forgive myself. Ever.
So here we're about to wrap up a quest. PV has made a serious mistake.
You were right. Perhaps I can still make amends.
Well, we really seem to have won him over. And my favorite part of finishing a quest in Divinity II is going to be the quest reward screen.
There's no other way. Let me just say, I'm sorry, Quincy. I'd accept your apology.
Oak Knight, not only does it look much better because it has a completely redone graphics engine and a completely overhauled user interface, it's also only $39.99 next week, Tuesday, for the North American launch. And every launch copy includes a 21-track soundtrack plus a pre-order bonus 52-page full-color art book should you happen to pre-order. In fact, some folks who just wander into a retailer, specific retailers, at launch may be able to find a bundled shrink-wrapped copy that includes the art book as well. So, if you don't hesitate, you may still be able to get the full deal. $39.99. So here we go. We've got the quest reward screen. Some juice that we could use to slightly heal in battle. Of course, experience, I think, looks to be the one to go with here. Probably want to level up so we can go back to the... Oh, and here we go. How convenient. All right, Scott, I'm going to let you navigate us through leveling up and pick the skills and explain why you choose which ones you chose.
Okay. Currently, we have a variety here. We've got some mage spells, a couple of warrior abilities, and an extra point in the dual wield ability, which increases our dual wield damage. Now, last time, people were kind of chiding me for not picking up the lockpick ability, which becomes important because there's chests to be opened everywhere.
I'm pretty sure I chided you.
So we'll go ahead and stick our point into lockpick here. But as you can see, there's a wide variety of skills. As you level up, more and more of these become unlocked, and you can even raise the level cap on these skills as you go along by talking to a special NPC.
Do you know how high can you go beyond a 5? Is it up to 10?
It varies per skill. Once you get into Flames of Vengeance, the expansion, it can go up beyond 10 for some of the skills, and they become quite powerful.
Farhung is complaining that you're a little quiet, Scott. I need you to... no, I think you're good. I think you're definitely legible, or audible. But, alright, so we will... Scott's voice is still suffering from playing millions of hours of this game.
It's quite possible.
Farhung says it's actually up to 15 sometimes. So for those of you who really, really want to be good at picking logs, although I don't think that's one of the ones you can do that for, you have the ability to boost the cap, the skill cap for some of those.
Now we have 4 stat points to play with. Because I'm a mage and a warrior, I'll benefit from almost all of these. So we'll go ahead and stick a couple points in strength to increase melee damage and melee resistance. And we'll stick a couple more in vitality for hit points, especially after running into those skeletons.
Hey Rob, isn't there some work you could be doing right now? I think Rob Stone's on our... We may have some Atlus employees tuning in to this. Yeah, I know. You tend to use that profile name too many times. So let's see. Why don't we head into the tavern? Is this the tavern?
Yes.
Some of my favorite characters are here. Particularly the shady merchant in the far back corner of the top. I think it's the top floor. I just love her dialogue.
Never have I met such
The chick in the tavern hit on her.
such perverts. Funny is a perfectly nice name, whatever the connotations.
So apparently this sweet girl named Fanny is being verbally assaulted by the bar patrons who
Tell me, pretty, you in charge of the bed?
seem to be New Order ruffians, huh?
No, I'm just a waitress.
Then why don't you wiggle back for some more ale, eh?
there seemed to be an inordinate number of people last night who wanted romantic subplots. So, I mean, if your jollies are satisfied by fun interactions between the characters and the opposite sex and things like that, you'll find a lot of fun dialogue in this game. I don't know if all the perverts are going to be satisfied, but there's certainly a lot of really well-written dialogue. Scott, of course, modeled this character after himself. It bears a very close likeness to him.
What's that pink animal on the ceiling? Watch out for elephants on the wing.
Huh? What? Who are you?
I'm Merlin the Happy Pig. This guy is completely drunk off his back. So, have we read his mind yet? Let's read the mind of a completely intoxicated soldier. Oh, he wants to have another drink. Well, that sounds like a good idea. Didn't your mother ever tell you to treat women nicely?
Of the end. I don't know where to begin. You bring the finest beer. I want to unhitch your brazier. Drunk. Slightly tipsy, perhaps.
So there's a way to get these guys to spare the bar owners from these guys, right?
Who are you?
I leave it to Scott to...
We'll take a more direct tack this time.
Oh, a slayer. That's was Elsa of the End. This here slayer wants some bruises, guys.
So probably not in the best shape to fight us, these guys, but... Oh, and just as we're about to start fighting, interjection. A classic case of male bonding, nothing more. No, we should probably pin it on these guys.
I find your use of jest somewhat ill-timed. Inebriation, disrespectful conduct, and use of force.
Again, really happy to point out how great the writing and the voice acting is. 100+ hours of nothing but incredibly listenable voice acting and incredibly readable dialogue. So anyone who likes a good story, likes great interaction with NPCs and character dialogue, you're in for a treat with Divinity II. Hey, he just lowered his prices because we read his mind. Oh, nobody will look for a sack of gold in the... Is that actually out there?
Yes.
All right. So there's an example of mind reading working out to our advantage. We now know the location of a sack of gold that he thought was completely hidden.
You kept your word. I'll make sure my prices drop each time you happen to fancy some of my wares. Elsa and I are right grateful.
No, I really wish my eyes just glowed like that. I think I would be a more intimidating person if... all right, so we have our choice of... the Potion of Minor Healing doesn't really have the same value as the 300 experience, but we probably need it for when we go to the...
Probably be a good idea to grab one or two.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and grab this as our reward. Plus, we just recently leveled up, too, so we're probably at a good level. And now we have a potion as well. Alright, let's go ahead and check out the merchant interface here. He worships the ground we walk on. So that's the result of us reading his mind. Clearly he has a weak mind. And oh cool, we just unlocked an achievement for buying something from a merchant.
Hope to see you again soon.
Okay.
I can't spare the time just now.
Tons of characters you can interact with throughout just this first village in Broken Valley, and tons of little side quests as well. So, for example, we have goblin hearts that we've been collecting as we went out into the... Oh, and here we go. Elsa is kind of thanking us for helping her out. Are we going to ask her for a reward? Okay, fine.
Well, ask Tim. I'm sure he's
That's disappointing.
as grateful as I am.
That wasn't quite what I was hoping for, but the Hex editor seems to be on the same page as I am. This Okay, it looks like we almost lost our... Oh, did we just lose our right monitor? No, there we go. We have multiple Atlus employees lurking on this stream. So, Scott, where are we headed next?
Let's see. There's a couple more quests to be done within the village.
We should go see if we can find that sack of gold. Actually, we also still have to go clear out the chapel.
Yes.
Which we held off from doing last time.
And now would be a good time to use the journal to see what the quest dialogue said to find that sack of gold. So we go to the logbook.
Let's see. Restless Ghost. Oh, the sack of gold. We actually have to go to the dialogue, right? It would have been Tim. Yeah, nobody will look for a sack of gold in a bush by the chapel.
So we'll go there now.
A bush by the chapel. Must be to the right of it? Or is it behind? Oh, there we go. That would have been tough to spot. I think I saw it there on the ground. Seemed to be a very small object there, isn't it?
Yes.
Yep, Tim's gold bag.
Good eyes.
Alright, that's an easy 200 gold right there just for reading a mind. Not bad. I think it only costs us like 30 experience points too, so that works out pretty well. So last night we got a quest that we had to go and clear out, although it looks like we have another little side quest here we could get. Or a couple. Here's another one from Folo, maybe.
We heroically rescued Folo's pigs, so let's go see what he has to say.
You're back. My pigs, are they safe?
Yeah, last night, for those of you who weren't here, we managed to save 3 pigs for Folo the farmer. It was an amazingly heroic move on Scott's part. The name of the quest, Saving the Bacon. Take experience and buy new gear, says Farhang, after mind reading Dirk. Well, we're getting very strict instructions here.
Yes.
We're going to be very close to leveling up soon, too. Rob wants you to know that he's very proud of you. Oh, and now the reason Dirk is so excited is because he's found out that Carl Jackson's wife, Carl Jackson the farmer, wants to run away with him. And, of course, Carl Jackson is devastated by this. But he's in a good mood. And now we can get some great deals from him. I think Farhang wanted us to buy some equipment from him. I don't know if there's anything super cool we could buy that would be... See, anything that would work out well for us.
For the dual wielding, we generally want to lean towards the swords, so we'll go down and look at those first.
Let's compare it to what we have, yeah? Well, looks to be better statistically. Magic damage there with the Shaman Slayer. I think we did mind read him, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we did mind read Dirk. Elder Masana is insinuating that you need a larger sword, Scott. Don't know what that is. So, what is the max level? Solaris32 asks. Cynical Reaper. So the max level in the game, your level is basically constrained by the amount of quests and monsters to find and kill, particularly in Ego Draconis. It's very likely you'll finish the first 80% of the game, Ego Draconis, that chapter, in about between 25 to 35, level 25, 35. And then, of course, when you get to roughly level 35-ish, Flames of Vengeance, the expansion content, another 20, 25, 30 hours of gameplay, is going to be for high-level characters. So if you don't have a character already, you can just create one and the game will automatically default you to a level 35.
Okay, so right here, we just bought a new sword. We're going to replace Gowan's My First Sword, and it's going to be a pretty decent upgrade.
Oh, my first sword. I remember my first sword. It was inflatable. I think I got it from... and yeah, there you can see right off the bat, it has a very distinct look to it. There is certainly an incentive. Not only is there a ton of variation in the randomized loot in terms of modifiers, but items look different. So people have that really cool RPG incentive to collect cool-looking stuff and eventually maybe get a friend over and show off the cool sword they found or the cool armor they found.
Just as we used mind reading to find that bag of gold, by mind reading the blacksmith Dirk, he let us know that he dropped a key over here in the barn, and we can use that key to in turn go into his basement if we so choose.
Farhung is convinced that we can't go into the under the chapel without better armor.
Okay. We'll go ahead and pick up some new armor here. Let's see what this guy has.
This is casual difficulty. Scott told me repeatedly outside the room he did not want to die in this stream. So I told him casual difficulty's fine. I patted him, I comforted him on the back. I patted him and I said, don't worry about it. And he said, okay. And so that was all fictional. Sorry.
So we can see this pair of leggings is going to be a decent upgrade, so I'll go ahead and buy this.
Come again. I need for Aram in the morning.
Light rogue leggings. I saw those at Old Navy last time I was there. Solaris 32, yes, you can respec your skill points. A little later on in the game, you'll have a battle tower, and there you'll be able to, for a cost of gold, you can basically completely redo your character in terms of the skill points you've got assigned. The battle tower is something you'll get a dozen or so hours in, maybe a little later. Solaris 32, expect to finish... max level. I don't think there is no cap, but you really won't find it possible to get that much higher other than, finish the game 25 or 40. It's going to be hard to get over 35 or 40, particularly in the main campaign outside of the expansion. Yeah, average is 35. Oak Knight, is there a source for gold? I mean, like an infinite one. You are talking about the game, right?
At one point, once you reach the battle tower, you're given runners. That's 3 NPC characters that you send out to find resources for you. In that sense, they are an infinite source of gold, but you do have to be patient with how often you send them out.
Yeah, and early on in the game, you're never going to find yourself in a situation. Oh, Farhang wanted to show off different armor pieces. You'll make it. All right, he wanted to show off different armor pieces. Is there anything cool looking?
Well, we just bought the new helmet. That definitely has a distinct look to it. And in the game, all the helmets are very distinct looking. Pretty cool for the most part.
Well, let's go ahead and we'll go into the chapel. We'll say that we look cool enough. Was there anything else you wanted to do before we go kill some undead? All right, so this is a quest that we left off last night. Basically, I guess we were told that there's an undead spirit in the bottom of the chapel that we have to take care of.
It's part of our Dragon Knight or Dragon Slayer training.
I don't know, the layout of that chapel entryway reminds me of Chrono Trigger, where you play like the piano and then the door opens to the right and you go. Never mind. So, as you would expect and hope to see, incredibly atmospheric dungeons, tons of loot lining the walls. We're kind of going to get straight into it here. Let's see, this one, not locked, right? Nope. Oh, we got some gauntlets, some droplet earrings, +1 to intelligence, +2 to magic blast. So I mentioned last night, much to people's disbelief, that there is a Diablo II style looting or any of those games that fall in the vein of tons of items with as randomly generated loot with tons of modifiers, and Divinity II Dragon Knight Saga is no exception. Anyone who wants to play and play and play and explore and find all sorts of... And the second or third time you play the game, you'll find different things. There is a ton of incentive to spend all of those 100+ hours in Rivellon and see if you can find the coolest sword for your personal standard, anyways, in the game world.
You notice here that I'm using the hotkeys here to set Magic Blast. Some of the items that you equip in the game actually give you skills that you can use, which is what happened with those earrings that I just equipped. So we'll go ahead and set this up here.
I like the little icon for Magic Blast. It looks like it's a guy. He was smoking in bed and he woke up and he was on fire. There is no New Game Plus Zero Cool PSX. Are you saving here because you think you might die, Scott?
No.
Is that an admission of potential
I'm saving
unpreparedness?
just to show the viewers what the saving system looks like.
Yeah, right. So here we have our undead foe. Mind read costs 400 experience. Are you sure you wish to do this, Scott?
It's a tough choice. I might get something really good out of mind reading him in the long run. Maybe not right now, but what do you think? Everybody watching?
Yeah, should we read this undead ghoul's mind? Da, 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 bum, bum.
We'll take that as a yes.
Yes, okay. I didn't think anyone was going to say no.
How it was lost in combat.
Alright, so now we know the location of a special shield, right?
Yes.
Interesting. We'll have to go back and reference that dialogue later, but it looks like we now know of a rare item in the game world that we can seek out later.
Duel me and emerge victorious.
Alright, earn his regards, Scott. You're starting this by running away?
I'm earning his regards by making
running
a tactical retreat.
Now, again, explaining how the combat works for folks who are just joining us tonight. You lock onto your enemies with the left trigger, not the bumper, but the trigger, and you can see that there's a reticle above the enemy that you have your focus locked onto. If you have multiple enemies, you just flick the right analog and you can turn your attention. Attacking is done with the X button, and that was actually pretty quick work. Nicely done, Scott. So we know a little bit more now about this ghost. A ghost related to our own order of dragon slayers, dedicated to the mission of destroying every last dragon knight. We get a nice sword with which to kill the last dragon knight. I guess this is the first time in which we're told there's only one left, right? In the game. Yeah, at this point, this ghost uses their supernatural undead insight to tell us that there's one dragon knight remaining, Talana, and we have to use the sword we were just given to end her. You can mind read anyone, it'll just come at a big cost. Correct. Yes. Oh, that wasn't a question. Yes.
So we'll go ahead and explore this a little bit further to make sure that we get everything. We see a
little key here. Sparkles are nice. I think there's a couple chests or pots that we may have missed. And when a pot or a breakable, lootable object is broken, the loot just falls right out, right?
Right.
Yeah. So if you want to avoid the tedium of opening every little thing, if it's something you can break with your sword, swing away. Oh, there's the last chest. Ooh, nice. +2 to strength, nice. Blackrock is an enchantment component, correct?
Yes.
You want to talk a little bit about enchantment? We're probably not going to get to the battle. It's a certainty that we're not going to get to the battle tower, but maybe explain a little bit the kinds of things you can do with enchantment, Scott.
Let's see if any of our weapons have a chance on them. I believe one of them does. So if we look at the normal light iron sword here, at the very bottom you'll see increased magical damage. Increases your magical damage by 2. That is an enchantment. As you progress through the game, you get more and more powerful enchantments to the point where your weapons become very, very powerful. In order to use the enchantments, though, you have to find various resources, and then you can send them directly to your battle tower, so they never have to sit in your inventory, from which you have an enchanter that lives in your tower who can enchant things for you.
Well said.
And the enchantments are on most of your equipment. They vary from piece to piece. Whereas weapons usually get an increase to damage, armor will get an increase to your defense, and so on.
Looks like we cleared out this first dungeon. It's kind of really the first dungeon you come across in the game, so don't expect dungeons in the game to all be this short. This was incredibly unique, or an exception to the rule. There are, even just a little later on, there's actually going to be kind of a series of mines or sewers closer to a tower that we'll go to there's an NPC we'll have to talk to. We may not even get to that in the series of streams, and it's all connected. There's an east, west, north, south section, items to collect. So expect to find some big dungeons in Divinity II: The Dragon Knight Saga.
He led the attack on the stronghold of Erebus, once one of the
Peter Bazooka, you will possibly find items that you can't use until you're the right level. So in terms of level scaled, I don't know if Farhang, if there's anything going on behind the scenes, a little bit of scaling, but yeah, right, balanced according to the enemy levels, exactly.
And you have his sword, and recognize it anyway. And it will.
So Commander Rhodes, she leads our team of Dragon Slayers. Our mission, to find every last Dragon Knight in Rivellon and kill them. They are accused of having killed our prophet, our divine, and it is our mission to hunt them down and make them pay and avenge our fallen prophet. So here we're having dialogue with Rhodes that basically tells us that she is the last of her kind.
The roll of our order shall not diminish, not before Rivellon is free of all her foes. And you know too well our world has far too many. Come now, give me the sword so that Lord Arben's wish may yet be realized.
We have to give up the sword.
By the events of this day, you will make your name as a hero.
Apparently it's not going to be our moment in the spotlight. We were really hoping to make a name for ourselves by killing someone today. Darn. A lot of experience points. Again, the reward screen for quests. A lot of decisions to be made every time you solve a quest, particularly the major ones. There's some good stuff here. Minor strength charm. I mean, if we were a warrior and we wanted to have something in our inventory that constantly gave us +2 strength.
Never hurts to have a good bow, so I'll go ahead and take the balanced light bow here.
It's enchanted, right? Yeah, monoleech.
You're never restricted from any weapon or spell ability past what talent points you spend into them. So in this case, even though I've spent points in warrior and mage, I can still use a bow with no problem.
I would play Lego Draconis, would you?
I would probably play Lego Draconis over any other game.
Especially if it had co-op and you could, like, there were skeleton bones that you could hover your cursor over and they'd come together to form puzzle-solving things.
As long as I could build my own battle tower out of Legos.
Battle tower of Legos. Well said. I can lose myself in that thought. All right, before anyone gets confused, there's no Legos in Divinity II. Are there any questions so far? Is there anyone here tonight who wasn't watching last night? We have a lot of lurkers who actually aren't logged into the chat. Looks like the time of day has changed. So where to next, Scott?
Let's do a little more exploration for now. Maybe we'll get back up to that dungeon where I had to make a retreat to the rear.
That was rather embarrassing, wasn't it? Did you feel ashamed when that happened?
I don't feel shame anymore. It's part of the job.
It's true. We have a sign hung up outside our office door. Leave your shame here, along with your jacket and your coat. Can you get a companion or sidekick?
Later on in the game, you get a creature that is built to you by your necromancer in your battle tower, which is pretty cool. But that happens a little bit later on down the road.
Spoiler alert, after the fact. Well, you actually can choose the parts, correct?
Yes.
That's one of the really cool things about the battle tower, is that you choose the different components that go to create your golem or your crafted summoned character, and they actually have different abilities based on the parts you chose. I think we're ready to wipe out the goblins, right?
Yeah, I believe somebody had a question about how character creation worked.
Oh, sorry. Good call. How is character creation done? Asks eToaster. Is it class-based, skill-based, or what? Okay, so it is not class-based, eToaster, but when you start out the tutorial area, you will be asked to choose one of 3 disciplines: magic, melee, or ranged attacks, to invest 1 skill point in. That is something that if you really regret later on, you leave that 1 point in forever, but you never put another skill point into it. By the time you get to your battle tower, you could get rid of it and spend it elsewhere. Yeah, eToaster. So essentially, it is not class-based. You can have a character that has points in the priest skills, which are like necromancy and summoning and spirituality. You could have, and also at the same time, points in archery or melee warrior skills. So much like maybe Demon Souls, you're not bound by, very nicely done, you're not bound by a class. You have the ability to change dynamically as your tastes and how you, as you kind of discover how the game matches your expectations for an RPG, you can make a character that really suits your desires. And of course, again, once you get your battle tower, you can respec. Cynical Reaper, my stream is a bit wonky, so I didn't get the answer to the companion question. I can summon demons in this game? Yes. Actually, you are you basically craft them. You customize them. You can be a summoner of devil. Well, no, there are definitely summoning skills too in the priest class. I think maybe the next time we level up, we can look into using one. That's a very straight to the point battle cry. Die! Exclamation point. Kind of mirrors how we were feeling. Why don't you look up and just look at the sun shining through the leaves? That's one of my favorite effects. We'll see if we can actually find the sun. Really nice volume to the lighting when we get it to peek through. There we go. Peek through the leaves there. And again, as some of the fine folks at Larian, the game does use Speed Tree, but as they mentioned last night, they redid all the trees, all the leaves to suit the unique visual style of Rivellon. Mortal Group, we will look to put all 3 of our streams on YouTube. And if we do, and I'm personally satisfied with myself not sounding bumbling and incoherent, we will put them up, and you guys can enjoy them. And it really is the best way to see a lot of Divinity II in action and help you decide whether it's your cup of tea when the game comes out next Tuesday, April 12th. Of course, it is your cup of tea, so please buy it.
Here we see one of the game's many resources. As you go along through the game, you'll find veins of different ores all over the place, along with plants and various other things. It's just as simple as picking them up, and then they're ready to go for your battle tower later on in the game.
Farhang, I think the chat log is something we won't be able to replicate. I did not save last night's chat log, so you'll have to forgive me for that.
I think we're powerful enough. We can make a second go at the skeleton cave here.
Famous last words. Sorry that you're having performance issues, Cynical Reaper. We've had a lot of folks in different locations tell us it's working all right. It could be a Wi-Fi connection, maybe. There are some significant bandwidth demands for Ustream. This isn't the highest resolution. It's only 640 by 360, but the bit rate's kind of high. So that could be maybe part of your problem. And sometimes maybe just refreshing the stream, even though he's running away. Refreshing the stream, even though you'll have to watch an ad again, could be a way to fix the problem. There you can see, I think that's Magic Missile, right?
Yes.
The Magic Missile skill. Tons of stuff to loot in this dungeon. Although I guess we could just break the barrels and the crates, right? If there's anything there for us to loot, we can just grab it from the ground.
It is randomized too. So if as you go through, possibly second time, you'll find different items in different locations.
Solaris32 would like to know more details on how max level works. You say there is no... you're asked to use Whirlwind, Scott, by Farhan. There is no max level, but you can finish the game at level 25 or 40. What does that mean? Well, Solaris32, we've mentioned already that there's really no respawning monsters in the vast majority of the game. Because of that, your max level will be determined by how many subquests you do on the side and how many of the monsters you go to every last corner of Rivellon to hunt out. You don't have to clear out every dungeon, and you don't have to do every quest. So the people who are completionists will have a higher level when all is said and done. But you don't have to do all that stuff to finish the game. The game is perfectly completable at level 25 or 30. We're just talking about what the average is. Anyways, sorry, I digress. Did you want to say something about leveling up?
Yes. As you can see, we've reached level 6 now, which unlocked the third tier of skills for Priest, Mage, Warrior, and Ranger. Now we have a greater variety of skills to choose from.
Do you have a favorite skill in the game, Scott?
It would probably be Battle Rage.
Oh, and now it's available to us.
It is.
Convenient.
Early on, it's a little rough. As you can see, it gives you a big boost to your melee damage, but a big penalty to your melee. And both get increased and offset as you increase in level for it. So I might actually hold off on it at this point.
Oak Knight, I'm not sure if you're asking Larian their favorite skill or me. Oh no, he's asking about the level cap. Good.
We'll go ahead and put another point in the lockpick here because there's still things I can't
unlock. Me. Personally, lockpick is my favorite skill. Nothing is more frustrating for me than coming up against a chest I can't get to, because I'll be damned if I'm going back and finding that chest again later on. I don't look to the past, I only move on to the future. Does this game use level scaling mobs? Shiki, is that a J or an I? No, it does not. The world does not auto-level, much to everyone's rejoice. There are areas you can wander into that will own you, and you'll have to know immediately, use your common sense, that you have to retreat and get stronger, much like a good RPG.
Once again, I've kind of spread out the points here to make the best use of all the skills that I've selected in the talent trees.
Oh my gosh, we're 10 minutes to 6. Oh. All right, let's see. Well, let's see what we can do here. I guess we won't. Well, let's see if we can clear this dungeon out, right? We've got a little bit left to do, I think. Seems like there's some sort of cultish stuff going on here. Now, this is kind of a situation where my immediate reaction would be to mind read. This guy looks incredibly suspicious. He's up to something. Oh, now we've learned a password by mind reading, which is, again, another example of getting something incredibly useful by spending a little bit of experience. It is key to say, however, that sometimes you don't get anything good. So this is a necromancer here. He's up to no good. He's a not-so-evil necromancer, Kotep observes. Necromancers are people too. Oak Knights, what is the Atlus man's name? Well, Scott Williams, QA lead, is the man driving the show right now. I'm just standing here. I just clean up over the weekends. This is Aram, Jabbari, manager of PR. I'm assuming that was the question. 4 experiments went well so far? They all ran away.
I'll show you how I work.
So here we're going to get a little preview of what it's like to create your creature.
Run away again.
So as you go through the game, you'll find various body parts, and you'll be able to basically mix and match to create the creature best suited to whatever you want to do with them, whether it be magic or melee or defense.
It's like customizing your ship in Phantom Hourglass.
Not quite.
So what kinds of do you know off the top of your head some different types of legs or arms that you can get?
There's basically the different corpses from all the creatures that you face throughout the game. There's these creatures that are mixed between dragons and elves, and you'll find a lot of their body parts all over the place. There's undead. Here, these are just basic monster parts.
It looks like we can make Teen Wolf if we wanted to, but for now we'll leave it be. And when Scott says, maybe some of you joined us a little later in the broadcast, when Scott says this is a preview of things to come, eventually we will have our own battle tower. We'll have NPCs who will do our bidding there. They'll train us. They'll let us respec. We'll have NPCs that stand there. They're basically our bitch, and they go out there and collect ingredients for enchantment when we tell them to. Our lockpick level is not high. I see that one point that you didn't put into it, Scott.
Yeah.
It's bit us in the butt. Let me see if there's any questions. Are there lots of pieces of armor and ways to customize your appearance? Apologies if this has been covered already. Game Somnia, there's certainly a lot of variety in terms of armor and weapons, and there's also a ton of modifiers and enchantments that you can find, since all the loot is randomized, with the exception of some rare items that are kind of placed, like the one that we were hinted at when we mind-read the Arbin Ghost. Aram's going to hurt Scott about that lockpick. They're about to. It looks like we're about to run out of time. If there's anything you think we can do in 5 minutes, we'll do it. But then otherwise, we will leave our becoming a Dragon Knight and our encounter with perhaps the last Dragon Knight for the final stream.
And maybe we'll actually lockpick something tomorrow.
We picked something, haven't we? Or everything has been too high?
I've just been 1 point below everything I think so far.
Oh wait, let's see. Is Farhang asking us to go to? The final stream. Oh, he wants us to go to the Talana scene right now. You want to do it? We'll do it. Oak Knight, it's not like we're going to end it in exactly 6 minutes. More like 5. Kidding. No, let's go ahead and we'll initiate the final cutscene with Talana. We are being asked to end it. Now, Farhang, you do understand that we are doing one more broadcast tomorrow night. Everyone wants a cliffhanger.
I could just spin in circles for the next 5 minutes.
You know what? I've actually seen you spin in circles in the office, and you are quite good at it, Scott. No one would begrudge your standing in place, spinning in circles ability.
Well, it's either that or work.
I won't tell anyone you said that. Oh, there's a lot of goblins on the way, though, huh? Fat Fern.
We will slide by these guys. For now. Or not.
Oak Knight is not going to get any sleep unless we wrap this up soon. So, Oak Knight, are you asking us to wrap this up in exactly 6 minutes? Sleep is like... Alright, we're almost there. This is the passage that leads us to the cutscene. We'll save it. I'm going to jack up the game audio a little bit. I'm going to kind of shut up for this part now. It's kind of a cool cutscene. Staying awake is what puts hair on the chest, says Gatsu 25. Oh, I don't know if we'll be flying tonight. We may leave that for tomorrow night. We do have a clean break between the cutscene and... Or does it go straight through? Straight through. Alright. We were asked to do this.
Not another of the Order. I've seen too much of such vermin today already. Slayerbane, my cleaver, lost in flight. May the creature that finds my weapon use it.
I'll quickly interject to say that this is Talana, the last of the Dragon Knights that the Arbin Ghost alluded to, and here we see her badly wounded.
If I still had my strength, I'd rip you apart, just as I did so many slayers.
Bloody excrement.
Pathetic souls
You,
who like
Very evocative.
excrement.
persistently trail in my wake.
Trail in my wake.
She must have eaten Chipotle recently.
Looks like a demon possessed. And that sword, how it did sting, wielding such power that it might...
Personally, I love Chipotle, but I don't want anyone to think that I'm wailing on them. I'm ruining the scene, too.
Could it be a slayer of the
They're right,
heart?
though.
One who sees
Our guy really
beyond
doesn't give a
veil
shit
they
about the
held
last
before
Dragon Knight.
those silver
He's
eyes.
badass.
He's badass. You know, he doesn't have to make eye contact, Elder Masana. He just has to stand there and listen to her.
How I lament the idiocy of mankind. They chase the great ancient ones, paying no heed to the true evil that prepares to rear
Given
its
excrement.
head
Well, this game is rated M for mature. Hopefully everyone watching this is 17 or up.
The lurking bane that
And here we get one of the great early cutscenes in the game. The game is cinematic. There are tons of cutscenes throughout that tell the story of Rivellon. And here we have an immediate transition to our first moments as a dragon.
How does it feel, Slayer? What's it like?
So the mechanics work similar to how they did in melee combat. We have the ability to fire a constant stream of flame, and we have the ability to launch fireballs at our opponents too. And here, of course, you can see based on how it started out in terms of color that this is an introductory sequence to us being a dragon. Who doesn't like dogfighting, right? Looking around with the right analog, moving around with the left analog.
Do you see those horrid constructs? They are the
And here
perverted
Talana is
machines.
explaining to us that the real enemy that we face is Damien, the Damned One. We talked about him a little bit in the first broadcast. Does the dragon have its own skill trees?
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
With my powers, I leave you my crusade. Damien's destruction.
So Talana has given us her powers. And here we find one of the nice CG cutscenes in the game. I don't think anyone could say that this stream has been dragging on.
Hope everybody heard me sigh in the background.
They pay me more for every lame joke. The damned one himself, Damien. When their head is bald, you know they're up to no good. Except for Picard. There's the Next Generation reference, right? Am I right? High five, Scott. High five.
The most begrudging high five you will never witness in person.
He didn't have to do it. No one was watching. Folks, I think we're going to leave this stream off with that fun bit. I think we're going to spawn right here, it's going to be, is it Zandalore?
Yes.
Yeah, but I guess we can, is there any way to save before that, or that's a cutscene too? Alright, well, we'll go through one more cutscene. We've entered a place of somewhat no return in terms of cutscenage. Just a little bit longer.
Time to wake up, my sleeping beauty.
That seemed excessive.
Vivid dreams you have. I quite enjoyed that little scene. A dragon slayer turned dragon knight. Such delicious irony.
Remember the guy in Jedi Knight? He was bald too. Jarek, bad guy, bald.
Take your word on it.
Alright, whatever.
Should you attempt to make Talana's dream come true, our next encounter won't.
Although Minsk in Baldur's Gate 2, he was bald. No, maybe he had a ponytail coming out of the back.
The quaff.
The quaff. The quaff. Well, then he had Boo too. So here is the best comparison maybe is Gandalf, the Gandalf of Rivellon, Zandalore. He is a force of good. And here he sees in you hope to destroy Damien and save Rivellon from what has been a very long conflict.
Please stand still a while and let me have a look at you. Yes.
Rival Shade X, we did not upload Radiant Historia videos to YouTube. Still very experimental for us. We want to see how many people we can get in a stream, and then also, yeah, eventually we will do that, and it looks like we're going to do it with starting with Divinity II.
Unlike the one Damien gave Rivellon when his dark armies ravaged.
Yeah, can you imagine Zandalore when he goes to the tavern or he goes to get groceries? I mean, everyone knows this guy's a wizard. There's absolutely no anonymity with him.
And this world's most famed eminence greetings. Till I fell from grace for protecting dragons from slayer blades after the Great War.
Let's get through this dialogue as quickly as we can without losing anything important.
But your slayer days are over. As you were like Damien, I saw your dream. And so, I have come to... In order to do so, though, you will have to brave many dangers. But while you may not realize it now, we have come to a turning point in Rivellon's history.
So everything we knew about Rivellon and this conflict that tormented it is being twisted around. We always thought that it was the Dragon Knights who killed our prophet, the Dragon Knights who were responsible for everything, they must be destroyed, and Talana tried to show us things are from a different perspective, and here Zandalore 2 says that we're a Dragon Knight now, and it's our duty to stop Damien above all else. He is the true threat in Rivellon. Rival Shade X, we will not ever upload the Radiant Historia streams. So here we are.
But Zandalore was right.
We've just had our first experience being able to transform into a dragon, but we don't have the ability yet. However, I think this is now where if we jump. We like do the little flip, right?
Probably the biggest selling point of the entire game.
Is the ability. Now we're a little faster, a little stronger. Look at that flip. That is impressive. One of the things that I actually think is awesome, but you know, it takes a little bit of getting used to intuitively, is that you do not take any fall damage in Divinity II. So some of this is because as a dragon, if someone accidentally turns to human form, it'd be kind of unfair if fall damage, because you're gonna spend parts later in the game flying and turning into human and being up in the air. So you don't take any fall damage, which I actually think is rather cool because you can jump down from just about any altitude and not have any issues. Jump and then land without moving so we can see that slick ass animation. I think the flipping is only when we're moving. Alright, so now we're going to call it a stream. Guys, we're going to call this the end of the second night. Tomorrow night, we're going to jump ahead a little bit and show you guys a little bit more. Hopefully, we can show you guys maybe the ability to transform into a dragon. We'll see what we can get going for you. Thank you very much to everyone who attended. And please tune in tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, for the final installment of Divinity II Dragon Knight Saga Atlus Plays Ustream web demo. Please remember to pre-order a copy. It comes out April 12th, next Tuesday. Every copy comes with a 21-track soundtrack CD. And if you pre-order, or if you pick up a copy at launch in some retailers, you can also get a 52-page full-color art book, The Art of Divinity II, The Dragon Knight Saga. Until tomorrow night.